Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. I'm back with the, let's call these the pandemic projects. We previewed for you a bunch of reels that I'm going to take on that have been in my work bin for a while. And we're going to go jump into one. It's been a request. It's about the Shakespeare Alpha. This is the 050. Now this is an earlier reel. This is the late 80s, 90s. This one was made in Korea. We're used to seeing the Alphas like this, the graphite cases. They came along in the 90s. This is a bigger reel, needs a handle. Somewhere I've got a handle. But the older ones kind of share a lot of the characteristics of the Ryobi, of the Silver Series Daiwa, and of the Pen Silver Series as well. So we're going to take this apart. We'll show you how to service it. This one's very, very sluggish. So again, I think if it's a quick guess, we've just got a lot of dried grease in here that just needs to be cleaned up, lubed, and put back together again. And then the rest of us will learn from this one, and we'll hopefully put it back out there fishing again. So this is a reel that has a capacity of 10-pound test 260, so it's a moderate size reel, probably in the 40 size class. And that reel is suitable for inshore ocean, deep lake and river fishing. It's suitable for drops from a boat or a pier. It's also suitable for casting from shore. So we're going to start by taking off some of the exterior pieces and parts. You can see why this one made it to my project pile. It's got a chip out of the drag adjuster button. That's not a big deal. It holds the reel down when tightened. You have a drag, and it also has a push button release similar to a Mitchell's type of a reel. But overall, not an issue with just the chip in that particular button. Okay, 3 outside cases after you unscrew the handle. There's 3 case screws. They appear to be a Phillips head, but they're not. This is one of these things where there's a machine tool that they use when they're assembling these, and I haven't seen the bit inside of them, and I don't believe it's a commercial bit that's available. I have a lot of these trays of all kinds of unusual bits, but I don't have a hand tool that would do this. So my guess here is that there's a machine tool out there that kind of sets that particular screw. These are relatively straightforward designs from a fishing reel standpoint. I'll be interested to find out what the take is here in terms of whether we have a crosswind arm or if we have a crosswind gear and block. Those were the 2 dominant spinning types of setups at the time, and we'll find out in just a moment. So I'm laying these screws out. I want to make sure that they're all the same size in the side plate screws. These are, and as I've mentioned from time to time, you'll find that they vary. There might be a narrow point on the case, and it might have a shorter screw, and so on. You'll notice I am wearing a protective glove on my hand to keep the majority of the stuff that tends to accumulate, like old grease and debris, off of my hand. I wish I could put one on here, but I just am not comfortable working with a glove like that. And this answers our question. So it's very much a setup similar to some of the older Daiwas and Ryobis and the like. It has a pin which holds our axle shaft, and it has a crosswind arm instead of the crosswind gear and block as a traditional setup. And some folks have asked me, which is better. I think that the ones with the crosswind gears, which is the dominant technology today, you don't see too many arm type setups today, but I think the gears are smoother, and I think that's probably why they've gone to that. So we've got some stuff here. We're just going to do some cleaning on this. We've lost the badge already, interestingly enough. That can be put back on with epoxy or hot glue or crazy glue or anything like that if you're really crazy about having the badge on there. That's another example that this thing has just been sitting around for a long time and has not been serviced. Well, as I mentioned, we'll get that back on. Probably use some crazy glue. But I'm just cleaning up the debris here. You don't want to go service a reel and then find out that after you put all this together there was some sand or there was some other kind of stuff just kind of trapped there. and then you work your way into the grease, and you're no better off than you were previously. So there's old grease in this channel here. This channel is where that pin rides to push the axle shaft up and down, and that could be one of the causes of the sluggishness. So took care of that. Again, I'm not going to do that right now for the length of the video, but we'll put some super glue on after we clean up both sides, and that'll hold that just fine. Okay, now over a little bit more. We're going to take out the pin which holds the crosswind arm. You can probably grab that with your finger, but if you can't, you can go ahead and use a pliers. In this case, it's a double-sided. You have a long side of the shaft and a short side of the shaft. It seems to be stuck in there. It might actually be part of the assembly. But if that comes out and you lose it, know that the long side of the shaft goes to the back and intersects with the axle. And we also have a lot of chunk on this, which again is going to bog down the performance of the reel. If that pin came out completely, you want to note the orientation of this. So this one looks like a reverse 9. On this side it would look like the number 9. So you want to make sure you know which side is going to go back onto the gear here. And we're just going to use a little bit of steel wool to get some of that old grease off. Now this is 4-0 steel wool. It's the smoothest or the least abrasive of the steel wools. You don't want to scratch or nick or mar to the extent that you can leave this as it is. Alright, main gear, axle. We can pull the axle shaft off now. There's the hole that the pin was in. And I'm feeling dried grease on this as well, so get that steel wool out and try and take the dried grease off. If you need some help, there's a minimally abrasive chrome polish out there for automobiles. This one happens to be turtle wax. It has a little bit of grit in it. It will help you to loosen that up. I've seen the other one too that folks have used, which is the bug and tar remover. Again, it's just it's a chemical compound in there that just helps free up some of that stuff. Alright, we should be able to pull the main gear out now. I'm going to remove this just to see if we have an assist here. There we go. It's always good to get a visual on that. So this one right now just has bushings. It's a dried main gear, which is the problem. We also noticed that we have a V-shaped clip on here, which is going to help with the anti-reverse. When you go to put that back in, you need to make sure that that V connects with the V on this clip here. If it doesn't connect, then you're not going to have the anti-reverse override. So if you've taken it out and you find that you've got some weird performance things going on, maybe you got a click or something in there, then the best thing to do is just come on back, try to reset that clip to the proper. Most of the time when you have something like that, you have a hole in the main gear so that you could actually see yourself lining that up. In this case, this main gear is solid, so you're going to have to eyeball that when you do that. I'm going to put a little bit of grease on there because that should move, that little clip. So just make sure that that spins freely as well when you're doing the maintenance on this reel. Alright, so this is all cleaned up now. We need to put grease into that channel. Again, this has been a sluggish performer, and the reason for that is going to be that the teeth have nothing on it. So it's not slipping and sliding as it should. So let's put some on there. We're going to pull the main gear as well, the rotor and the pinion gear, and we're going to take care of that as well. Here's a good example of why this glove helps, because I'm just getting a little bit of grease on everything else. We're also going to want to clean the grease on this side. I'm going to use that steel wool too. Do that as well, because you're going to need the slip and slide for the crosswind arm. So let's just put that into my parts tray. You've been noticing that in the background. And now Now we can grab a wrench to take off the rotor. This appears to be a 14mm wrench. And I'm going in the traditional counterclockwise, and I notice it just seems to be tightening, so that's telling me that this nut is a reverse threaded nut. Grab that, show you. So to remove that, you have to go in the clockwise direction. And that'll help us remove the bail. So we have a nut. And we have a little spacer washer beneath that. And this is a good time to tell you, if you haven't taken pictures along the way, take pictures along the way, because sometimes you can't find the schematics on reels like this, and if you forget the sequence of pieces, you could be in trouble. Of course, I'm taking pictures here with the video, but it may be the case where if you don't want to do a video, you don't have to. Just take a picture as you remove certain pieces and parts. All we have up top here then is the ramp for the trip lever for the bail. And we have the carrier for the ball bearing. So let's take this off, get that pinion gear out, clean the pinion gear up, oil that bearing and put it back together again. And I'm going to leave these pieces right on my desk right now, just because I intend to put them right back in. Okay, a lot of times this little shield here has some weird orientations. In this case, it's kind of hard to mess up because it has that ramp for the trip. We can then take out the pinion gear. We can see that there's a lot of slop and old stuff on there, so let's get that cleaned up. Again, if you need to, or if you'd like to, use a penetrating oil to loosen some of the old stubborn grease on there. And while I'm cleaning this up, I'm going to take some fishing reel oil. I'm going to flood the bearing because it's clear that that has not been used in a while. This one is a Realex. It's an aftermarket product. I also have a pen reel oil. It doesn't really matter too much about which oil you're using, but make sure that that oil is a fishing reel oil. Don't go using stuff that just happens to be in your workshop. Chances are, if it wasn't designed for a fishing reel, it's not going to be optimum, and in some cases it'll evaporate too quickly. In other cases it may just run off. It might be too light, whatever the properties are in fishing reels. I'm clearing the channels now, as you can see. I'm just using a little bit of an awl to make sure that they're all free. This is another reason why I'm trusting that the performance on this reel was less than optimal. I'm feeling some stuff trapped in those channels, which means that it wouldn't be working as smoothly as you would like it to be. Alright, but we're clear now. And again, if you wanted to flood it with some penetrating oil, go right ahead, and then just kind of wrap it with a paper towel or something to get that last piece out. If you're wrapping with a paper towel, you can take a thumbnail or something and kind of run it in there too. Alright, so that's clean. We can reinstall that bearing now. We can put it all, oh, we got a little bit of stuff here. We might as well take the time, since we have this open, to clean that off. Just grab that little scraper and get the tops. And then I'm going to just hit this with some penetrating oil as well. This is your anti-reverse override function. Alright, now we can go reinstall then. So we've oiled the bearing. Let's go ahead and put some grease onto the pinion gear. And you don't have to totally load it up. As it spins, it will distribute itself. But make sure that there's enough in there that it's going to do its job. Alright, seated into the carrier, seated up top. This one was pretty straightforward in terms of how that clip went back on. Two small screws that I always have trouble with. I've been doing this from time to time. Put a little bit of grease onto the end of your screwdriver. It kind of acts as a temporary glue. Then it'll help you to line up your screw with the hole and put it in. That came as a tip from one of our folks. Came as a tip from several of the folks that watched this. They didn't know I have a tendency to drop these little screws all over the place, and from time to time I remember to pass that tip along. Okay, we're back here. That's done, nice and clean. You grab that carrier, make sure that we're clean underneath. There's a little trip mechanism here for the bail, so let's go ahead and load that up with some penetrating oil. Give it a little bit of a turn to make sure that it's operating smoothly. If you want, you can open it up and get a little bit underneath there. There's not much going on under there. There's a bunch of springs, so there's no gears or anything. While we're at it, we can also load the sides. This will just run off over time, but we can load the sides and we can also load the top. That's penetrating oil. It's not a real thick lubricant but at any means. You just want to keep this thing going at the moment. Okay, you want to line up the, there's an oval kind of a setup here. It's not a circle, so you want to make sure that you have that mounted properly. And then remember, this was a reverse thread, so when you go to put it back on, you turn it almost as though you would take it off, turning it counterclockwise to thread. We can tighten that up there. So what we're seeing here is a basic style reel that was Korean manufacture, and probably in the same plant as some of the others. Okay, we have that V. We need to load it so that that V comes in. And again, it's kind of an eyeball thing, so I'm going to take this so I can see as opposed to you can see. I think we have that now. Let's see if we trip. Yep, we have the overriders working. Okay, so we're going to grease up the top of the main gear now, because that's where your arm is going to slide. We have that little shim washer there, so when we go to load the cross arm, we have to be behind that shim washer. We're going to put a little bit onto the axle shaft. Don't overload it, because when you go through the pinion gear, it'll just accumulate up there and have no value, no use to anything. Get this circle so that it's lined up with the groove, and then you want to insert the pin into the groove and slip the arm over the, oops, we didn't quite get that. You can take that shim washer off if it's an issue. I'm just trying to do it all at once. Actually, I'm going to move this up to the top. It usually is easier that way. Into the one, over the other. Let's do that. Let's just take that shim washer off. Alright, the shim washers are on the table. That'll make this a whole lot easier in putting it in. Just load it up. There we go. Don't forget those shim washers now. There's two of them here. Now they're used for alignment, so that you're, if you're finding that the gear doesn't mesh properly, there's actually a series of these. This came with two, and if you needed it to move the main gear one way or another, if it was too tight or too loose, you could remove one or add an additional one. A little bit of grease onto the stud that's going to go through the bushing. Bushing up next. Case needs to close. You heard a nice little snap with that. The 3 side plate screws. We can grab the screwdriver, put those in. And we'll just go up top, check the drags. This is an older reel, and it's inshore ocean, it's deep lake, it's pier fishing, it's boat fishing, it's surf casting that has multiple use. It's a nice size. It's a 40. Folks ask me about the ideal reel for a starter. I'd say it's a 40 or a 50 size reel, depending on where you are. 50 size is a little bit more for the ocean. Let's give it a test. Oh, look at that. That just works like a charm. Of course, we got to make it pretty again. We'll put that badge on after the video. So let's take this off then. Let's just check to to make sure that we have. Now this is, you have a center shaft through here. You want to hold your finger on that in case it starts spinning. It shouldn't, but this is like a Mitchell bail or some of the others that have that quick release. This can actually come through and be pulled out. There's a little bit of junk on there, so we probably want to clean that too. And then there's that little trip ring here, or C-clip, or whatever they call these things, but you want to go into the circle, pull that clip. Now it's a spring, so please be careful as you're working with this, because you could shoot that spring, and something like this, I'm sure the parts are not available, and you certainly don't want to lose this one as you go to make some work. Okay, there you go. These things look a little rusty here, so I'm not quite sure what we have. So let's get these out. We have, looks like the traditional old leather washers. You can see that there's a lot of junk inside the channel. So again, use that steel wool. That'll help clean it up. It's a little debris, and anything that that gets in there and impedes the performance is going to make this less useful. So these look like they've frozen in place. And if you find them frozen in place, you can generally salvage these just simply by getting a wedge. Now I'm using a razor blade. Please be careful if you choose that. And they're usually not stuck terribly. So just find the seam between the two and just kind of pry them off here. And these can be saved. So we're going to do just that. We're going to save them. These are hard washers. These do not need lubrication, but we do have stuff stuck on the metals. So let's use that steel wool again and just buff that off. And here's where that that metal polish may help, because it has a little bit of grit in it and a little bit of formula in there that's going to help dissolve stuff as well. Now I generally do not recommend scraping this stuff off. But if you like, you have that razor knife. If you find it's being a little bit stubborn, go lightly. You don't want to scratch these drag washers up too much, the metals. But you know, if you find that it's just a little bit of debris like this, you can go ahead and do that. And that'll facilitate the elbow grease needed to make it whole. Of course, it's on the other side as well. I know that this isn't very entertaining, doing what I call doing the dishes, but you know, it's a necessary part of making sure that the reel is done properly and that it will last a while. So you should tune these reels annually. Now, if this reel is only being used a couple of times a year, fine. You might get away a little bit, maybe not doing an extensive tune-up, but you should go in there and lubricate as we have done. Maybe you don't need to go service the drags, but you're seeing it doesn't take that much time to do it. And I would throw the line away after a season. Even if you've only used the reel 5 times, if you're using monofilament, get rid of that line. That seems to be the weak point in all of these. Alright, these are hard washers, so we don't need to do anything. And I took note as it came out, there was they're all three the same, so it's not much of a big deal here. We go fabric washer, a round washer, second of the fabric washers, and we have an eared washer. It calls it an ear because it looks like the ears of somebody's face. Fabric washer, last of the eared washers, or last of the keyed washers. It's not an eared washer. Then that clip, and again, just like taking it out, same thing going in. Be careful with it. It is a spring. It will shoot. Some shoot more than others. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't on the floor looking for these from time to time, and it's a lesson learned. Okay, now we have that shaft that's got a little bit of junk on there, so let's get that off too. It's a little bit difficult coming out. Then we'll be able to give this a test drive, make sure everything's working well. Okay, that'll just come up from underneath here. And generally you have to work it around till you get the slots lined up and put that drag knob back on there. There's a little clicker here. From a tune-up standpoint, go ahead and put some oil on that. That tells you when your drag is operating, you see that little click. If you got a drag that's spinning, we'll demonstrate it as we put this back on. If it's in reverse, you'll hear that clicker. Okay, so we're on. I'll tighten this down, make sure we have the drags holding. They are. I'm going to back it up just to make sure we... Yep, so we have full extension now that we've cleaned the drags up. All right, let's give it a... Look at that. What a difference. What a difference. That's sweet. So this one's set to go, and this one can go a long time. The bail is tripping beautifully. We're ready to go fishing with this one. Save, we want to make it pretty. We'll put that badge back on. So we'll do that another time. But for now, that's the Shakespeare Alpha from the 1980s. It's a nice reel. We've given you some tips along the way in terms of how to clean this up. We gave you a lookout point in terms of that main gear so that you make certain that your anti-reverse works. Showed you the inner workings of it. It's a single ball bearing with two bearings, two bushings on the side of it. Perfectly acceptable. We noted that it was made in Korea about the same time as the Ryobis, the Daiwas, and the Penn Silver Series. And this one's a solid reel that will fish for a long time to come. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you did, please like it and subscribe. Please comment if you have questions on this or any kind of reel that you're interested in. It doesn't have to be on a specific reel. We'll try to answer those. And please stay tuned for more to come. Please stay safe and stay well with this pandemic. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Thank you for watching.